Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Intrepid radio program. It's not really a radio program right now because we're not on the network for the time being because we're broadcasting out of the Makeshift studio in my makeshift lifestyle down in Louisiana. And so I want to thank you for being here, but you can go over to Odyssey Radio. That's ODYSY1.com. Go check out their schedule. And every night he's playing a rebroadcast of the some 500 and almost 500 shows we have on archive over there at Odyssey Radio. So go on over there, check it out. You can see when we're on. We're on more than just 9 o'clock at he's got us throughout the day on the schedule there, so you can check us out. Hey, Master Finn, good to see you. Siani Reese, good to see you. And Steve Clark, howdy. How you doing over there in Kansas? Good to see you all tonight. And welcome, of course, to the live video simulcast. It's not really a simulcast because we're not broadcasting on the radio tonight. So it's a live broadcast here on my YouTube channel. And for those of you that see this in archive, that's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. Now, we are hoping that our internet stands firm tonight and works with us. I got to turn off a couple of things here that might be drawing some energy from my stream. And so hopefully everything's going all right tonight, tech-wise. And if you see any tech problems, if the screen looks fuzzy or the broadcast looks fuzzy, if we blank out every now and then, that's only because our internet stream is not very solid down here. We've been looking for more internet companies that could service our camper down here, and we're running into block wall. We can't even find the internet company that they use here to have the weak internet that we're on. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get that bumped up anytime soon here. With that bidnass out of the way, welcome again to everybody who's here. I appreciate the fact that you're here. And you're going to hear tones every now and then because I'm on my computer and it brings up announcements. I don't know how to turn that off right at the moment. I'm on a PC. PCs confuse the hell out of me. And so, staff, welcome. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And, we're down here in Louisiana, Sam and I, my son, and we're working for my friend's company. And we've been here, we came down here the first week in February. And and we got rolling really kind of that first weekend in February and then the following week in earnest. So we've been going all of February now and half of March. And so we're about 6 weeks down here. And there are times where it feels a little discouraging. It's not exactly the portrait that was painted when I was told to come down here and check it out. And of course, like anything, it's the energy and the amount of time you put into something. And so Sam and I have put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and we're trying to get things done. The guys down here, my friend who owns this company, as well as his partner in it, they've been down here for months, and we've been down here for 6 weeks. And so they've had some good projects in. They're making really good money. We're starting to turn some of that around. And we haven't got anything that is closed yet in 6 weeks. And yet we have 3 very large projects that are this far from being closed. I mean, as far as finalizing the final pricing, having them sign off on it, and then we're ready to roll. And so there's a pretty good amount of income that comes off of those. That will crush in one fell swoop any discouragement we have while we're trying to put things together. And so, oh, hey, Doug, good to see you. And Teresa Dantone, good to see you as well. And Field Guy, glad you're here. And so all of that to say this is a topic I want to talk about a little bit tonight. And that is the topic of discouragement, of feeling like you're failing at something or flailing at something, and it sets in a discouragement. My son, it's very easy to talk about this right now because he's not here. And if I were here, he would let me talk about it. It's nothing like that. But my son is, as you've known from many past shows over the 1.5 to 2 years that I've mentioned him, he's had a rough go. And he doesn't really have anything to go back to if he were to leave here. But he is a very emotionally hot button person. Something doesn't go right. It comes out in everything he does, the way he drives, the way he throws his sunglasses down on the countertop, all of that. And so I noticed that in him, and it grows and it comes and goes. And sometimes we get my friend who owns the company goes, "Hey, what are you guys up to? Are you hitting neighborhoods? What are you doing?" Now, he's not keeping a tight leash on us because he knows me. He knows I know what I'm doing. But Sam takes that very personally, gets really angsty about it. And so when we drive in the truck, many times we talk about this stuff. And my son is probably prone. Are any of you like this? Do any of you have a propensity toward discouragement or depression? My son has that. I know his mother was a manic depressive, and bipolar, I guess, is the same term. I'm realizing, really talking about the same thing. Oh, Siani Reese is not in the tub tonight, but her husband is. I'm sure she'll gladly bring the camera in for you, whoever's asking. And Morgan Snow, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Did I say hi to Barbie D? I do see you there. I don't know if I said hi or not. So I want to thank you all for being there, but being here. But how many of you fall into that category of allowing things to discourage you? Just the daily things of life, the daily things we all go through. And when they don't work according to expectation or plan or the way we thought that they were supposed to, they can sometimes set us back. They pull the rug out from under our feet sometimes. They make us feel like we're floating around and flailing in the middle of nothing. And so my son is more prone to that than I am. I've always been an upbeat, effervescent, go get him type of guy. My son is 40 years younger than I am, and of course he has some struggles with that. And so this is where I'm at. This is where my son is at, and I'm talking with him about. I wrote to my daughter today, his older sister, and I said, "Wow, Sam is sometimes as stressful as discouragement of not making things work quite yet down here. They're this close. We are right on the cusp. I'm not complaining. I'm not crying in my soup. I'm using this, what's going on with me and my life and my son right now, as a catalyst, as I always do, to be able to talk about some things that we may all deal with. And I'm curious as to how you all are dealing with your stress. How do you deal with the things that set you back? Name some of the things. And go ahead if you're here in the chat room. Feel free to name some things that are the things you feel that are the ones that set you back and set you behind. What makes you feel like you're behind the eight ball, as they used to say? Or, that you're not doing your best, or you feel that you're doing your best and still at the same time you feel you're not achieving your best. Is discouragement life, says Field Guy. There you go. Everything sets me back, he says. And so those things that set you back, how do you grab those things and try to wrangle them and make them the things that put you forward? How do you do that? Teresa, I want to ask you, how do you do that? The things that discourage you, you've had recent discouragements, recent emotional upsets. How do you deal with yours? Steph, how do you deal with yours? Field Guy, how do you deal with yours? Matt Finn, how do you deal with yours? Steve, how do you deal with yours? Siani, how do you deal with yours? Iowa, how you doing? He says, keep the beer cold and the powder dry. That's actually a great word picture for what I'm talking about, Iowa. You get it. You know what I mean. Cold weather gets me down, says Steve Clark. Sometimes I set myself behind the eight ball, says Barbie D. Many times if we were to stop and look and we'd say, maybe it's my action or the things that set me behind. When I talked to Sam about the fact we don't have 10 to, if we had worked harder, would we have doubled that number? Sam and I, and I've said this before, these little door hangers we've had, and I show you these because these are the things we, the light's so bright on it you can't see it. These are the hangers we leave on doors when people aren't home or don't answer, and it tells what we do, and we call back on those. Of these, since we've been here in 6 weeks, how many doors, houses do you think we've walked up to and left these on the doorknobs? We've got 5 jobs on the board, 2 of them huge jobs, 2 of them ready to roll. All we're lacking is just a final signature. We've got 3 other jobs that are pretty much ready to roll, that are smaller jobs. To get those 5 on the board, how many of these things do you think that we had to distribute and leave on people's door handles when they didn't answer the doors? We've gone through almost 850 of these in 6 weeks. Think of that, folks. Go down your block. If you live on a city street where there's houses all down your street, what do you got, 20 or 30 houses down that block, depending on the length of your block? How long would it take you to walk from door to door without crossing the grass, with being polite because you're a professional, you got to use the sidewalks, go down each door, knock, wait about 30 seconds. If nobody comes, you hang one of these on the door and you move on to the next. How long would that take you to do 850 of these on 850 doors? That's how many of those Sam and I have hung out. And we do it in neighborhoods where we see lots of blue tarps still on the roofs and things like that. So we target where we go. We look for work that needs doing, at least superficially from the exterior, and we knock on the doors. How many callbacks on the door hangers? I can tell you this right now. We've got a big job that's up right now that could, I hate to talk numbers, but it's a job that's between $80,000 and $100,000 is the job on that. And we take a nice cut of that for ourselves. That's our profit on this. And so I've had 1 callback out of 850 cards. And that 1 callback was that big job. And that's the one I told you. He called me on Saturday morning around 8:15 and said, "Hey, I got your card about 3 weeks ago on my door. Can you come out and look at my house?" And so, and he needs things like not just his roof being done. He's got a big bulge in the floor of his house, big open format, all tiled, ceramic tiled floor. The bulge is from the water pipes underneath the clay underneath his not foundation slab that his house is built on. He wants to build a mother-in-law house in the backyard. It's only 27 by 27 feet, but he wants to rework his driveway going around to the back, and we've got to do all this redecorating on the inside of his house, moving rooms around, expanding a couple ends of the house. All of that is that job off of him crying back. Crying back. I saw the word cry in there, Steph. Sorry. Because Steph says, how do I deal with things? First and foremost, I cry. I can't help it. It's a release, I guess. It seems to release initial stress, be it a tear that falls or a massive, ugly cry. And then 800 to 1 and a win. That's what Iowa said. That's exactly what this was. Now, maybe we've had I take that back. We had 1 other call. The woman that was a realtor, she was going to buy a house she had for sale and flip it. You know what flipping is? You buy it, you fix it up, and you sell it for more money. And she needed us to be under $40,000 to do her roof and some other things. And you know what? We got that bid in at 39. And then she decided not to buy the house. And she did ask, would you be willing to do some other stuff for me if it comes up? And we said, absolutely. So that's the 2 calls we got back. Well, that was going to be our first job. That was about 3.5 weeks ago that came in. And then it didn't happen. And we've had 3 jobs fall off, doing a steel roof for a guy. And he found somebody for half the price that we do it. Steel roof. And we're doing shingled roofs. And somebody came along and bid him nice of doing a shingled roof for doing his steel roof. And so he said, he was a very nice older gentleman. And he said, I'm sorry, fellas. He says, since I'm going to give it to this other guy, because he actually called on me first, and you can't, and he said, you're coming in at 16 16, he was at 8, 9. And I said, you know what? Other back, it looks like, I hope. And so those are the things. I'm only using this as a descriptor, an illustration of the things I'm experiencing that make me feel this discouragement. My even more so. It's driving here to handle things quite well. Keith, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, Steve, I saw. You know what happens on my end? All of a sudden, my video goes black, and I see the little spinning circle in the middle. That's when I know my connection is dropped. So hopefully, it's cleared up, and it's not fuzzy or too choppy. We're going to fix that as soon as we get our own internet in here, which we may have to do. We're going to try to run an internet, sign up for internet right here in our own slot in the camper park, and see if we can use that and find somebody that'll do that for us. So three companies today said they couldn't do that. There can't be all that many companies in a town this size. So moving on, I wanted to talk about the things. I wanted to talk about why failures are our ally. Remember, we were reading a little bit from Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, and he talked about how, using the metaphor, we have green lights in life. We also have those red lights or those yellow lights, the yellow lights that tell us to slow down, the red lights that stop us and stop our forward progress. But they're really all the things that lead to green lights. So how can you make your failures work for you? And I want to ask you guys about this and to think about this. If you tried to collect, and Steph, I think of what you just said, if you try to collect all the tears that are shed by successful people who failed, they'd fill an ocean. There's days when hopelessness sets in after a failure to achieve a goal, an impossible deadline, a lousy review from somebody you work with or your boss, a missed promotion, or the rubble of your own self-doubt. Isn't that the stuff that kills us the most? Our own self-doubt and how we approach things. You tell yourself you want to give up, but you don't really want to quit. You just want the hurt and the disappointment of something to stop, understandably so. And at the time, that might feel like the only option, but it's not. Trust me, it's not. Maybe this is a little bit of my own personality. I've got a personality where I work very hard to stay very positive. Let me rephrase that. I don't have to work hard at being positive. I am a positive person. I work very hard at not letting the negatives overtake me. There are times I have to blow steam, but there are times where generally blowing steam helps me overcome it pretty quickly. And at the time, that might feel like the only option, but it's not. And you haven't actually failed, is the bottom line of that. Chances are that failure is what you call it when you don't meet your expectations of things. I failed. I didn't meet my own expectations. And things don't turn out the way you planned, and you're simply traversing this valley that everyone else goes through before reaching any kind of a mountain of success. Siani, I'm going to pull you out as an example. I don't know specifics with you, but I know if you're like me, you're a freelancer. Sometimes the feeling of having expectations of being able to do the thing that you know you can do and then finding it's a roller coaster and it's killing you sometimes. It's setting you back. Those are the things when you don't meet those expectations, things don't turn out the way you planned. You're simply going through this valley before reaching the mountain of success. And failure, without a doubt, is heartbreaking. It beats us down sometimes, but it can also be the impetus to keep going. If you've never failed at something, how do you know when you've succeeded? And so that's a good question to ask yourself. Failure brings you closer to success. Baseball great. Think of Babe Ruth. Remember him from the 1920s and the 30s? He was arguably one of the best ball players of all time. He said this: every strike in baseball brings me closer to the next home run. You can use it's like Matthew McConaughey said in his book, every red light and yellow light brings me closer to the next green light. And you can use that kind of wisdom from a baseball player in your pursuits when you fail, quote unquote, fail. All successful people have smackdown moments before and after they make it. And when you face defeat, your outlook is everything. It's what you've got inside is the whole thing that makes you work, that makes it work for you, that makes you help get over it. And um, failure's a frame of mind. When you call yourself a failure, you start to feel, think, and behave like one. As long as you're still trying, you haven't quit and haven't quit. You haven't failed. You fail only when you choose to put that label on yourself. When you feel as if you failed. Remember that you're strong, higher power to succeed in your next challenge. The greatest success we have. Remember when she got Harry Potter first published? She was in a trailer with her son, a single mom, and not making any money. And so she used her failures to get to greater success. What do you got there? I'm right in the middle of something, but this is worth looking at, folks. Look at that. Oh, Richard. Look at that. Ribs. Richard brought that over. Richard is one of our Mexican workers or crew chiefs here. So there you go. We have, hopefully that didn't glitch out while you were looking at it. Here, I'm going to show you again, just in case. Ribs. There you go. So here, I'm going to go on, before I have you come in and sit down here and chow. You want to sit right next to me and chow those. So I'm going to set these over on the other side for you, Sam. Pardon that little radio live interlude right there. I'm going to set those over there for Sam. He's going to start chowing on barbecued ribs. And how are the tin lids, aka kids? Asks Amanda. I don't know if you're asking me that. My kids are good. They're giving Rainey a run for her money, but they're okay. Yanni says, I guess I'm primarily a positive person. Even when I fail, I mope for a few hours or days. And then I pick myself up and I go back. I go back at it. That's it. Steve said, if I got thrown from a horse, I'd get up and I'd dust myself off and I'd get back on the horse. That's what you have to do. And especially when you got a horse, Steve, you know this. If you don't get back on that horse, he's going to start learning that if he throws you, that's how he doesn't have to do any work. So you got to cultivate this growth mindset. The buzz among psychologists is a phenomenon known as a growth mindset. A growth mindset. Basically, it's a winning frame of mind that defeats that defeat happens for you, not to you. Growth mindset. Defeat happens for you, not to you. If you're a successful person and you're a career climber or whatever you're trying to achieve, you never give up. You welcome obstacles, you welcome setbacks and disappointments, no matter how painful, frustrating, big or small, as opportunities to grow and learn instead as defeat. And you think of failures as your personal trainer, asking yourself, what can I learn about myself from this letdown that will help me grow? Or what can I manage or overcome in this situation? How can I turn this disappointment around to benefit my career or my life in general, or the thing I'm pursuing? You have to view success and failure as a package deal, like a hand in a glove, milk and cookies, flip sides of the same coin, twins, not enemies. You understand that avoidance of failure morphs into avoidance of success. You realize that in order to attain what you want, you have to be willing to accept the things you don't want in order to get. That's part of life. That's part of the program. Acceptance of failure, you half glass full, not a half glass empty. Sam just reminded us of. So acceptance of your failure, your half empty glass, motivates you to fill that glass up again. One more time, then you fail. Take the towel you want to throw in and wipe the sweat from your brow, and you got to keep plugging away. If this sounds like a rah-rah success, hey, go get him, Tiger, type of talk, it's not really. This is the real stuff of life, of failure and success. Once you start to accept failure as an essential stepping stone to success, you give yourself permission to make the necessary mistakes to get where you want to go. And if you want to be a successful leader, you learn from your mistakes to make you stronger until you find the success you desire. Your growth mindset makes you as willing to embrace failure when it comes as you are to accept success when it happens. And the more you accept failure, the more opportunities you have to accept success and bounce back higher than you fall. And every time you fail, instead of giving up, try to do what every successful person before you has done. Take the towel you want to throw in and wipe the sweat off your brow and keep pursuing your goals. And that's what it takes to be a person who turns their failures into their successes, who rides that horse. I never break a horse, I train them to be ridden. Absolutely, Steve. When I worked with the horses on our ranch several years ago, the old cowboy would say, I got to break that horse, but he always saw the horses as commodities. And I would go out. I used, Steve, you might be familiar with this. Maybe some of you have horses. I read a book by Monty Roberts years ago, no relation, who was known as the Horse Whisperer. And you think of the movie with Scarlett Johansson in one of her first roles as a very young teenager, and Robert Redford was in it. He owned a ranch, and she was a girl who lost her leg on a horse, and the whole movie was the horse really training her to succeed again. And that's an approach I like to take with a horse. Monty Roberts had this theory of joining up with a horse, where he would, in a sense, almost ask its permission to do what he did. And that worked for him. And there were things I used body language. I didn't like using the crop and the whip. You know, I would bring horses into the round pen, and I'd stand in the middle, and I would run the horse around in a circle on the rope. And well, finally, I eventually took the rope off when I had learned some of this technique he used. And I used body language to tell the horse what I wanted it to do. If I looked the horse straight on from the middle of that circle, and I squared off my shoulders on him and looked at him, his ears would go back and he'd start running in a circle around the outer ring of the training ring. And as I would turn my body slightly away from him, he would slow down. If I'd turn back and face him, he'd speed up again. And I finally would turn, and I got to the point where I would just turn my back to him. And eventually he would stop altogether, and he would eventually walk over, and his nose was pushing up against my ear. And I could reach over and I could touch him. And so that's the way I started to break a horse, was to try to join up with him. And it was a very a good thing, a good way to train a horse. Now there are, what do we got? We already got 9:30. Believe it or not, we're already technically halfway through the show. And I want to talk about the 6 traits of successful people and the 10 habits of highly resilient people, not highly successful people, highly resilient people. And there's 10 habits. I think I'll do the and more successful than other people. What are they doing that separates them from the pack? They make resilience and well being their top priorities. What's resilience? Anybody tell me what resilience means? I can tell you right now. What's resilience mean? Um, that's the best way to work with any animal, said Steve, by the way. I found out that a long time ago. That is, Steve. I loved working with my horses that way. And, it was a little tougher when you were trying to get a saddle on them for the first time, but it worked. It's a thing that worked. Doug Stacks reporting his dad's surgery went well. He's in the hospital overnight tonight, so should maybe go home tomorrow. Outstanding, Doug. That's great to hear. Iowa's drinking more coffee. I got coffee right here, Iowa. Cheers. Mm. I needed something warm. It got cool here. Gorgeous day. Not a cloud in the sky. I think it reached the mid 70s. The breeze was a little cool. The breeze is cool this evening. And I got cold. Go figure. And so I threw on a sweater. That's why I'm wearing a big sweater today. So when it's supposed to be hot and humid down here, Doug Stack told me wait till April comes down here. I can't wait. It's hot and humid. So people that are successful or resilient, I want to use that word, are they make resilience and they make their well-being their top priorities. And you have to have what you can only call a winning frame of mind. Michelle Sullivan, who is the former president of the Caterpillar Foundation, was born with a rare form of dwarfism that created a lot of challenge in her daily life. And the epitome of a resilient me a requirement to enter buildings that do not have automatic doors. It requires me to ask for a lot of help. And once I finally learned to embrace that reality, the universe answered back with thunderous support. Where I had once seen obstacles, I changed my perspective and viewed them instead as advantages. I now call this the looking up philosophy, and it's how I live each day of my life. And so this person, Michelle, was so caught up in looking at the advantages that they eclipse her losses. When you look for the upside, the resilience, the bright shining sun or star in something, will eclipse the losses and the darkness. It doesn't mean we don't have. I know fool, and I think well, this woman I definitely knock on wood. All right, it's working to get back. If I can see the money that we have here, kind of out in the not the very civilized part of Louisiana, is not working well for us. And so we're doing the show. Hey, Claudette, here I is. We're doing this show, and we sometimes are losing our connectivity. So the only way you'll know that this off, I just had a little black glitch up in front of my face there, is if I sign off, or if you notice you can still chat in the chat room, that means the show is still there. It's still chugging to try to get back on. It said my internet connection was very weak, and it's something I already know. And for those of you coming in a little later, we're working to get our own internet hooked up here rather than use the corporate internet of the campground, which is and trying to find a company that will allow us to do that has been ridiculous today. I searched half the morning looking for a company that could come out here and hook up internet, just like you get it in your home up to our camper. And so far, nobody's been able to do that. And so I'm trying to find out from the management here what company they use to see if I can get them to come out and put in a box right here in our camper. And that would, I think, that would help. Yeah, that's what John Ward used to say to me from Egypt, Matt Finn. The hamster wheel needs greasing. He says, we've got the hamsters. He says, running as fast as they can on the wheel. So I don't know what else you missed talking about this guy, Ralph, who is the opposite of this Michelle, who was the president of Caterpillar Enterprises, and she's a dwarf, and she talked about how she turned the things that were the downside into the things that were the upside, and she had resilience. And yet you have this other guy, Ralph, who was complaining and bitching and pissing and moaning about having to pay $500,000 in taxes. You know what, folks? If you're paying $500,000 in taxes that you have to write to the government, you're probably making pretty good living. And apparently, he had made $5 or $6 million that year, but he was pissed that he had to write out a check for 500,000 for his taxes. I got off pretty light. Oh, the irony! Yes, sir. Says Matt Finn. Oh, the irony. So, if I'm looking at, um, let's see, where did I put it? Something. Well, I don't know where that just went. That's interesting. There it is. So, some people are really born with pit bull determination. I look at, by the way, I just have to say this internet problem. That's one of those failure categories for me personally. I feel like I'm failing at my show. It's hard to keep people's attention. It's hard to entertain. It's hard to give out good information when people have to keep dealing with my screen going black or a fuzzy picture or garbled communication. And it drives me to insanity, if not just distraction. And but it's one of those things I have to keep trying to find a way to make a positive out of that. We just keep going. We keep doing. Some people are born with this pit bull determination. They're less affected by stressful situations, and they're more resilient to the changes that they have to go through. Other people are more vulnerable to the arrows of everyday pressure. But regardless of where you fall personally, guys, you can cultivate a winning frame of mind, also known as the growth mindset. And that was coined by Carol Dweck of Stanford. The belief that defeat happens for you, not to you. And if you have a growth mindset, you consider success and failure as that package deal. And so you have to look at it and ask you think of defeat as a personal trainer. And so you got to look at these 10 habits of highly resilient people, the people who can go through the onslaughts and yet still succeed and still have a positive outcome or a positive outlook on things. So I'm going to go through these 10 habits of highly resilient people. Number one, grow a thick skin and expect rejection and setbacks. Commit yourself in advance to facing the many smackdowns that you're going to encounter, like all happy people have done before you. You look at it and you go, I got to grow a thick skin. If I'm going to be out there, I can't be thin skinned. I can't be a wallflower. I can't be a snowflake. I have to expect rejection and setbacks. And I do. That doesn't mean that they don't sometimes give me pause or discourage me or make me go, God damn it, so tired of this crap. Those things happen to us. But overall, you have to have that thick skin and expect the rejection is going to happen. Number two, you ditch the desire for comfort and you step into your growing pains. You got to be willing to go to the edge of your emotional pain so you can be fully present with what lays beyond that barrier of your emotional pain. Ditch the desire for comfort, step into the growing pains. It's going to take the edge off. Number three, be willing to postpone immediate gratification in the short term for the fulfillment of your goals in the long term. What do you think we're doing here? There are things that are distracting and disconcerting and feel like failures and discouragement along the way here. But I step into those and I postpone the immediate gratification, knowing that in the long term, the fulfillment's going to come because I'm sticking to it and I'm being resilient. And I'm not talking about fakery. I'm not talking about putting on the plastic smile. Oh, we're all so happy, aren't we? No, sometimes we're unhappy about the things that are happening. But you gotta number four, cultivate that spring back sustainability, that tenacity. Think of yourself as kind of a rubber band, an elastic band that bends, stretches to a certain point before you spring back higher than you fall. Number five, you refer to previous experience. Reflect on your past obstacles that you've already overcome in your climb. Point to lessons learned and your personal resources and underscore ways that you've grown stronger through past hard knocks. Is there any of you here that is here today and is positive about your life that can't look back on your shortcomings, the falling shorts, and say, I haven't learned anything from those? So this is something you have to do. That was number five. Number six, identify your self-doubts. Identify those things. And by identifying those things, you've identified the things that have cramped your work style or crippled you from going fully, going further. Identify those things. Harness them instead of running from them, and channel them into useful skills so they don't paralyze you. Because if you don't do that, they're going to freeze you up and you're not going to be able to move forward. Number 7, the 7th way of building a resilient personality: stay off the roller coaster. Manage the ups and downs of your life, treating the highs and lows equally. Celebrate the highs, but don't take them any more seriously than the lows. And don't take smackdowns any more seriously than your upswings. Number 8, you have to eschew what the hell. The what the hell? What the hell? WTF? You gotta eschew the what the hell effect. This attitude only adds insult to the injury. You gotta face your letdowns by taking the towel you want to throw in. Can you learn? That's gonna help you grow and get better at what you're doing. Number 9 is practice positive self-talk. Hey, you can do it. Look in the mirror. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me, Stuart Smalley once said. Michelle says I wish I heard Scotty. There you go. Hopefully, Michelle, I'm back for you and you can hear me now. You got to avoid the negative put downs, the self put downs, the criticisms. And instead of bludgeoning yourself after a setback, what do? Give yourself positive affirmations and encouragement to get back in the saddle. Steve encourages himself when a horse throws him. Steve gets up and gets back in the damn saddle. And he says, that hurt. It hurts more the older we get. But damn it, I'm getting back up, and the horse is not going to win that round by throwing me. I will take control of that situation. So you encourage yourself to do that. So Corey says, I can relate to that, Doug. Sometimes my timing is the absolute worst. I didn't even see what Doug said. What did he say back there? Johan says, Doug, those nights come and go. And they come and go, and this too shall pass. Where is he? What did Doug say? He says, good Lord, tonight is going fucked up. Just nothing going right tonight. I've had those kind of days, Doug. I understand, brother. Corey says, I'm sorry, I was watching a live video on terrorism and Judaism from the Sinai Temple channel and call. Doug, maybe this is for you. Maybe this is for all of us, too. Barbie D. Matt Finney. And so your timing is shocking, says Amanda. There you go. Sometimes timing is fate. Sometimes it's something we have no control over. It's something that we did that was done for us. We all have those moments, says Matt Finn, Doug. And I hope it's short-lived. It gets back on track and better than before. And there we go. I think we're back. I tried to hold my point until the internet came back on. And because what was that last point I was making? It started off number 10, catch yourself, you fall. I saw the internet go black suddenly, and so I caught it and I held back until the rest of the point till we came back on. Number 10 is catch yourself when you fall. Catch yourself when you fall. After a setback or a discouraging situation, your motivation bounces back quicker when you support yourself with self compassion. Instead of kicking yourself in the ass when you're down, be on your own side. Wish yourself well. Be your own number one cheerleader as you progress in your goals. You can do that. You can catch yourself. Hanging on, sir. Hit the warp speed, sir. Maybe that will pull us out. This is Steve Clark. Yes, we're falling into a black hole. And so Corey asks, how do you suggest talking with those who you care about yet often take advantage of you, so you find yourself avoiding contract communication? How do you suggest talking with those? Um, that's a little different topic, Corey. I'm more talking about how you talk to yourself and pull yourself out of those. As something that, as I was saying before, dark, you do these 10 things and use them as things to establish your own resilience. And Corey, that was more for you to try to answer your question there. How do you deal with those people? You deal with them by becoming the best person you can be for your own resilience. And if you missed those, hopefully you didn't miss them just because of the internet. But yeah, while it's a little choppy here tonight, as you've experienced, let's go through those 10 really quick again. Number 1, grow a thick skin. Expect that rejection comes and setbacks come. 2, ditch the desire for comfort and step into the growing pains. 3, be willing to postpone immediate gratification for the fulfillment of your goals. 4, cultivate a spring back sensibility and sustainability. 5, refer to previous experience. Reflect on your past obstacles and how you overcome them. 6, identify your self doubts. Look at the things that make you self doubt. Identify those. They're the things that cramp your style, cripple you from growing fully. You got to harness them, take control of them. 7 is stay off the roller coaster, manage the ups and downs of life by treating highs and lows equally. They're both things that are meant to make us grow. Number 8 is eschew the what the hell effect. What the hell? Get rid of that. It only adds insult to your injury, and it's self-imposed. Number 9, practice positive self-talk and optimism. Build yourself up. And 10, catch yourself when you fall. And so once you have these habits in your back pocket, so to speak, I guess the old phrase was your hip pocket, the rest is up to you. There we go. Sorry, I am seeing this as it's happening, so I'm trying to pause. There we go. We were frozen again. I hate that. That's a failure of mine. That makes me feel like a failure and it bothers the shit out of me. So, pardon me for that happening. And trying to make this work. And I have no control over what the internet's doing to me tonight. So, you have to give yourself permission to make the mistakes necessary to get to where you want to go. And the more you accept the failures in your life, the more opportunities you have to accept success and bounce back. Like Sam and I, we feel a little discouraged about the way things are going. Even though we've got stuff on the board, it's not closed yet. So we're still feeling that flailing around a bit, trying to make things work. Yet we're going to get up tomorrow and feel renewed to go out there and do it again. Let's go do it. Let's make this shit happen. Let's take the failures, and we've had a few of them here already. Things that just didn't happen. Well, loss of jobs, somebody else bid a lower price than we did, or something like that, or a job fell through. These are failures. So you got to go out and wipe the sweat off your brow with the towel that you were going to use to throw it in. And you got to plot your next move forward. And that is what that is all about. That's how you do those things. And hopefully, Corey, going through those 10 steps that I had outlined for tonight, that those are things that help you to answer that question. How do you deal with those people that are out there that you have to deal with? Scott Allen, hello and stuff and junk. Scotty, sir, says Steve Clark. We will overcome it, sir. It takes practice to get better at anything. Damn straight, Steve. You hit the nail on the head. It's practice. It's the doing of that makes it work. And since we have a minute left to the show and we're not done yet, we got more stuff. I might try to see if we can hit this. Let's test the fate of the internet here. And I wanted to talk about the 6 traits of successful people. Their traits. Talking about guys like Walt Disney. I struggle with the things they do. But Walt Disney himself, the man, Babe Ruth, Einstein, they did things differently, and so can we. We've all heard the stories of these highly successful, very famous people that were faced with failure, doubters, naysayers. Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor because he lacked ideas. Can you believe that? Walt Disney lacked ideas, according to one guy. And he then went bankrupt several times, Disney did, before he developed an entertainment empire featuring what's known as the happiest place on earth. You may have your problems with Disney, but there's a man who was told he didn't have any ideas, and then he went bankrupt several times before he developed the empire that exists today. Babe Ruth, arguably the most famous baseball player of all time, set the records for home runs and the most strikeouts. Did you know that? Babe Ruth has the record for the most strikeouts. Albert Einstein didn't speak until age 4. He didn't even read until age 7. His teacher described the boy as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in his foolish dreams. He was expelled and refused readmittance to the Zurich Polytechnic School. Albert Einstein. And what do we know of him now? After Fred Astaire's first screen test in 1933, MGM's testing director wrote a memo stating, can't act, slightly bald, can dance a little. Astaire kept it over the fireplace of his Beverly Hills home. He framed it. So these individuals absorbed their setbacks and they continued to approach life with determination. They evolve. And the following are 6 traits now that embody this type of determination that I want you to take with you tonight. Embracing them could help lead you along a similar path to success. Number 1, these people all faced their fears and they conquered them. and they conquered them. And I see that there's comments going on. I want to get to those, so let me see if I can actually get there, and see what people are saying. Johan said something there that I missed. There it is. Scotty, why is your nose getting redder? At least it's not growing. I don't know. Probably because it was in the sun today. I got sunburn on top of. I've got a rosacea of some kind that's forming in my my cheeks and especially my nose. And I thought it was just recent, the last couple of years. I look back in pictures 10 years ago and my nose was slightly pink. And you think of that of people who drink a lot, and I don't drink an awful lot. Last night, notwithstanding, we had a few scotches on the show last night celebrating St. Patrick's Day. And so I'm not a big drinker or anything like that. They chalk it up to my diabetes and my blood pressure. So I don't know about those things. So all I know is I got it. My doc doesn't know anything about how I cannot have it. And so anyway, these people, they all faced their fears. They conquered them. And most of us develop confidence by what? Confronting our anxieties and discouragement. You defeat your demons by looking them in the face and fronting off with them. You look them in the face and you quell them that way. You face them. And you admit that most of your fears are homegrown. You can make the decision to stop feeding your own fears. Our fears are fed by ourselves, nobody else. You got to hold them up by the roots to regain control of your life. And maybe we can spend a lot of time on these things in the near future here. But you have to face your fears and conquer over them. Either you will control your fears or your fears will control you. Number two, these people stayed focused and flexible, both at the same time. Success is probably not going to come your way overnight, and progress takes time. I always said, well, by the time I hit successfulness, I'll be too old to enjoy it. Hopefully not. I want to build a house for my wife and kids. That is a goal of mine right now. I'm going to reach that. Hopefully by summer, we'll get that thing going. We'll see. You got to help. You got to let your failures help you do your job with greater confidence. And provide you with more wisdom. And you make your wisdom by determining what you're going to do. You make you a more resilient person. Number three, these people refuse to give up on their dreams. I'm working on this novel I told you about, set in Egypt. I had my agent messaged me about midnight last night. We always talk between midnight and 2 a.m. it seems. And she said, hey, I got some stuff going. I need you to send me this and this and this. Because she's working on securing publishing deals. And so I got that all. I was up till 3 a.m. getting stuff prepped for her. You don't give up on your dreams. You don't give up on the things that you need to do. If I gave up on my dreams because somebody criticized me or I had setbacks, I would have stopped 12 years ago. Doing the books that I write, writing the books I write, doing this show. Because, I shouldn't be doing that because I don't have a PhD or letters behind my name. And I suffered all sorts of criticism and I just stood my ground. I was basically, fuck off. You can say what you want. I disagree with you. And so whenever we have a dream, we have to realize that there will be a dream snatcher that's lurking in the most unsuspecting place. And they may be well-meaning family members. They might be, I'm going to see, I think my battery is waning. Hold on a second. As I plug in while I'm still talking, my light dimmed, and that's all I know. There we go. And so they might be well-meaning family members. They might be colleagues at work, and even some that we thought were the most enthusiastic cheerleaders of our new ventures and the things we're pursuing. And you're going to learn to accept these individuals as temporary obstacles around which you have to either walk or run. Don't ever let anyone, don't allow them to determine your direction. You can get advice, but you determine your own direction. That's what you have to do to get where you want to be. Yeah, I don't want there to be any more tech issues, but they're here. So I have to deal with them. Number 4, you have to maintain a spirit of optimism. Be friggin' optimistic, folks. To develop a spirit of confidence and optimism, you have to establish and maintain your enthusiasm about your goals, your dreams, the things you want to do, the things you believe. When you doubt the things you believe, you will not exhibit any kind of enthusiasm for them. You'll be overridden by the criticism. Do you know why the criticism doesn't override me? It sets me back sometimes. I bluster about it. I blow steam about it. But do you know why it hasn't stopped me in my tracks? Because I believe in what I'm doing. I have goals and dreams that I believe are noble and lofty goals and dreams, and so do you. We only set ourselves back when we believe the lie. You have to maintain your spirit of optimism and your enthusiasm. To do this, you're going to have to give up all the things that oppose your goals. Focus deliberately on what you want to accomplish and desire that thing above everything else. That is how you get there. Number 5, these people who were successful thought with their hearts. The amount of thinking required for you to move in the direction of your dreams and see them become a reality for you might vary from project to project or thing to thing or whatever it is. But when you're confident that what you are doing is the right thing for you and the right thing to do, you're going to get the job done, regardless of the amount of thinking time that it takes. Be strategic. Be creative about how you'll achieve your dreams. When I talk about being down here in Louisiana, I say I hate it here. I hate the town I'm in. I hate the work I'm doing. I hate this stuff. Will my hatred of the job change when I start making a shitload of money off of it? Yeah, maybe. But this is not where I want to be. I don't want to be here. I'm away from my wife and my children. I've got my son with me. That's the only redeeming quality of being here. I hate this. I hate my lifestyle right now. But you know what? I think with my heart. I keep my goals focused. My dreams are ever before my eyes. The things I want to accomplish. I'm looking at, I am I'm visualizing, and I am manifesting, working to manifest those dreams. I'm seeing myself having accomplished what I'm doing here, and I'm being strategic and creative about it. And the number 6 thing that they did, they used their stumbling blocks as their stepping stones. How many of you have encountered stumbling blocks this week, this year? So what's your burning desire, folks? What if you knew you couldn't fail? What if you knew in your heart you could not fail? I will not fail. We need to realize that failure, as we often see it, is merely a stepping stone to success. And the more you fail, the closer you are to succeeding. What's Morgan doing? I fought for our house through 26 months of foreclosure. You believe in what your goal is. That's what Morgan Snow said. Amanda says, with good knots. Have ropes with good knots. Climb with ease. So there you go, folks. Doesn't have to be the absolute end of the show, but it's the end of what I wanted to say tonight. We all have setbacks. We all have discouragements. We all have things that throw the shit in our path, and it's hard to kick our way through it. But if you keep your mind focused on being resilient and on the things it takes to be successful, you will accomplish that. Your intent is, I will get where I am going. And you know what? If life and the universe wants to show you another path and keeps throwing up the roadblocks, maybe those are the stepping stones to learning the direction you're supposed to be going. You believe in yourself and what you are doing and what you are working to achieve. And that's the way you get there. Steve Clark says, I've never lost trying to figure out how to get where I want to be. There it is. Boom. I'm going to put that up on the screen. Look at that. Steve Clark, I'm never lost just trying to figure out how to get where I want to be. Damn straight, Steve. And when you're going through hell, keep on going, Winston Churchill said. And Matt Finn reminded us of that too long. Stay too long, you burn, says Amanda. Forward march, that's it. Don't stand still in it. Move. And if it's moving you in a different direction, maybe you need to take heed of that and use that as the stepping stone. The failure is the stepping stone to the success, to the resilience. Swifter, Scott A., you're insane with your talent, said Step to Scott A. Scott A., what's your talent? What did I miss? Is there something I don't know about you? Tell us, please. So if one door closes, another will open, says Morgan Snow. Maria in The Sound of Music, that reminds me of that. She says, whenever God closes a door, he always leaves a window open somewhere. I remember that from 6 years old, by the way. Do you realize The Sound of Music is like 56 years old, that movie? We saw that in the theater when I was 5 or 6 years old. It's crazy. Mental health, says Amanda B. We all do, says Michelle. Smile, you're okay, matey. It's good. We can encourage each other. That's what I like about our core of people who come here to this chat room and enjoy this place. And you enjoy the people here. They encourage each other. It's a good thing. So there we go. That's what I got for tonight. Siani says you're going to make it. Doug, I'm grabbing my bottle of Casamigos, and I'm on my way, says Steph. There you go. That's all it needs. We all need a big party together, you know. The idea of going to Egypt next year as a group of people has come up again. It came up today in a post. What do you all think of that? How would you all like it if we all could work a trip for all of us to go to Egypt together? There are ways to do it. It's not cheap, but it also can be done without being super expensive. Remember, I've told you before, the last time I went to Egypt, it cost me about $835 for my airfare to Cairo, and about another $125 to fly to Luxor. And I'll tell you this, we charged people between $3,800 and $4,000. Now, that's a lot of money, it seems. If you have a year to prep for that, if you borrow money to do it, whatever you do on your credit cards, that's what we had people do. We did a trip and it cost people $4,300, I think was the final price. And we, toward the end there, we said, let's make it 38 if anybody needs. We wanted to let people get in. And all they had to pay for was their airfare to Cairo and back. So whatever the cost of the trip is, plus the airfare to and from Cairo, and then your food, and that's it. Souvenirs. We took care of everything. We had people for almost 2 weeks And we charged with that money. We flew them from Luxor to Cairo, and Cairo to Luxor, and then at the end of the trip back to Cairo. We took care of that out of their fee. We took care of every hotel out of their fee. We took care of every of one meal a day. Was it one or two? Might have been breakfast and dinner. We took care of every day. We took care of all the attractions we went to see every day. We paid for the boat to the Dahabea, and everybody got their stateroom on the boat. And we floated from Esna, which is kind of not quite midway between Cairo and Luxor, down or upstream, which is south, down to Komombo, and then on to Aswan. And yeah, 5,900. Now we did that trip back in 2014. Maybe prices have gone up a bit since then. But I know people over there. We might be able to do something. Might be able to pull some strings and get something like that going. I might start checking in earnest if it's something any of us could do. Anybody would want to do. 4,300 is a pretty good price if we can get that price. It's 43 plus your airfare to Cairo and back, plus any souvenirs and any other food you'd want to eat other than the breakfast and dinner. So we have to see if we can make that happen. Ticonderoga first, says Scott Allen. Yeah, this summer we want to do a trip to Ticonderoga to see the Star Trek sets that are totally 100% reproduced there from the Desilu Studios in 1965 and 66. And they're phenomenal. You can go see it. I think it's Star Trek Set Tour, something like that. You look for the Star Trek sets in Ticonderoga. You'll find videos. You'll find stuff. I know William Shatner is going to be there for his birthday right around the 23rd of July. I don't know how packed that place will be, but it's a small town, Ticonderoga. I saw pictures from the last time Shatner was there. There weren't all that many people there because people didn't travel up to Ticonderoga. So it was actually very doable. But I don't want to go where we have such a limited time. I want to go and enjoy it. So if people want to go do that, we're going to try to work a trip out for that. Maybe not the weekend Shatner's there, but something like that. So it's something to think about. I'm going to see what we can do. What's around 5,200, Doug? What did you see? The boat to Egypt, not far by all, at all. Yeah, the cost goes down if enough people sign up for the trip. Very true, Steve. So let's see. Let me see what I can come up with. I'll see if I can come up with facts and figures for you. I'm going to talk to John Ward over there. I'm going to see what we might be able to do to get a trip together with everybody. We can take, last time I went, we took 10 or 11 people, and then we had a few on that side that joined us. So we had 14, 15 people through the whole trip. And with John and Maria there, we had all those archaeologists and members of the Ministry of Antiquities of Egypt that knew us and came and joined the trip. I know people right now over there, Momin Saad, would come and join us, and others. So there you go. Come down under. Amanda, I'm not even going to look at the entendre there. Because it's there. The window's there to make fun of that. But yeah, I'd love to go to Australia. You know where I want to go? I want to go to New Zealand. I want to see the places where they filmed the Lord of the Rings movies. I've said that before. I want to do that too. That'd be so cool, Amanda. So, Sun, Sea, and Ruse. You know what? I'd move to Australia. I'll tell you what. I'm an American and I'll always be an American. I wouldn't give up my citizenship. But if I could move to Australia and move my family there, I'd go. We're not gone yet. There we go. Little glitch. You know what I'm going to do? That's my signal, though, to wrap it. It's now 10:21. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Go check out my junk. Amanda said you can come down under, I'm going to say come and check out my junk over at scottallenroberts.com. That's my website. You can go take a look and see everything I do. You can also check out my Etsy page. And it's etsy.com/shop/son of a patriot, and see all the good junk we've got over there. So you'll need a boat after all. So thank you, Master Finn, for putting that in. Nar, the spiders are tiny, says Amanda. See, I don't like it down here. I'm down in Louisiana, and everywhere I go, I'm like, are there snakes there? Snakes and spiders and crocodiles. No, alligators. So I don't want to let my kids play in the backyard. An alligator will crawl up out of the channel and eat them. All right, Steve Clark, you take care, stay safe and healthy yourself. No spiders or snakes, says Siani. Where are you, Siani? Oh, yeah, I know where you are. No, there's no spiders or snakes. Aren't there snakes up in your neck of the woods, though? In the summertime? Up in there? You're near the Black Hills, aren't you? Check out the Roberts junk. Check out Roberts junk. There you go. It's a personal invite, Michelle. All right, you guys, here we go. We're getting out of here. It's 10:23. I wish you all a good night. I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here, giving me your time. If you're not a member of this channel, hit the join button down below and join. There's 3 ways to join: $2 a month, $5 a month, $15 a month. Go look at the perks. We're not doing them all yet right now because of this stupid hiatus, but join anyway and help support the cause here. I appreciate it, and I'd appreciate you very much. Thank you. So everybody, you know what? Live long and prosper, and I'll see you tomorrow night.